Alright, so here's me going over the review. Some of this you're going to have to listen to, so hopefully you are listening and not just, say, copying what I write, because I'm not going to write much on, say, one or two. So what we want to do, some of this I did go over in class, so hopefully this is a review. You can always fast forward to the points that you need to. Just kind of pay attention to where I'm writing or where I'm drawing. So the first thing I'm going to look at is describing the change the slope has on the linear function. Now you have to remember here that the m, when it's greater than 1, when the slope is greater than 1, we have a steeper slope, a line that is steeper or more steep. And you have to make sure, that's something you could put onto your note card. You can even throw in there when it was less than -1. Okay, but again, that just means if you ignore the sign, just look at the number. If it's bigger than 1, it's going to be, if you ignore the sign, it would be steeper. If it's between -1 and 1, it's going to be less steep. Okay, so that means kind of flatter. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, again, the y-intercept for number 2 moves a line up or down. Now these are things that can be, say, added again to a note card, and it would be very advisable if these are things that you're having trouble with to make sure you put into a note card. For these type of questions, we want to find the slope. For the last few ones, we're going to write an interpretation. I'm just going to talk about the interpretation, so you better make sure you're listening. But here I'm saying, like I'm subtracting. 2 minus 1, 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus -1 is 1. -1 minus 1 is -2. 1 minus 3 is -2. 3 minus 5 is -2. So the slope of this is -2 over 1. Now, if I was doing this on the like a note card, I might make a little table, a blank table, and let me erase this real quick. But I might make a blank table that says something like this without these numbers. I wouldn't have these numbers here, but that you say subtract, subtract, subtract. Maybe you tell yourself somehow subtract, 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 subtract. These numbers, these answers would go on top M. These answers would go here. Here I would have the bottom, and they would go down here and make my fraction. Okay, and again, the idea is that you're not here, but that you're subtracting here. Okay, this one minus this one, minus and minus, then minus and minus and minus. Whereas when I look at a graph, the slope I can get by counting. Positive, negative, negative, positive. So I would like say if I chose this point and then found like that point at the corner, I'm going down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3 because I went down and over. Doesn't matter what point you pick. Look, I could choose this one and go to here. I'm going down 2 over 6. Down 2 over 6 simplifies back to -1/3. So again, this is something you could add also for a graph, how to use the slope. Okay, so same thing on number 5 here. Subtract 3, subtract 3, subtract 2, subtract 9, subtract 9, subtract 6. These answers on top, that's saying 6 over 2, 9 over 3, 9 over 3. Divide them, and they all tell you the answer is 3, or 3 over 1. Either one would be acceptable. Okay, as you can see here on this one, like if I went with, say, this point and this point, I would go up 7 and over 3. And you can double check that, check your wherever you've got this written on the PDF file, try to do this on your own, count it, practice it, see like that. Okay, so for 7 and 8, we use a formula. Y2 minus Y1, X2 minus X1. And I would probably put that into my note card. And make note that when you see 2 points, the first one you see is your X1, Y1. The second one you see is your x2, y2. If you follow those along, and if you need me to go over this, the answer for this one would be 1, and the answer for this one is -4/3. But that is, I mean, I've already gone over that in class. If you do still have questions on that, be sure to come by my room for tutoring, and I can answer that question. All right, so now let's look at these where I have to kind of establish the like looking at this thing, looking at the slope here. Keep in mind, I want this in a unit rate. And when I say that, that means I want an answer of like over 1, even if it's a decimal. So when you do this one, when I said, let's say 125 minus 200 over 60 minus 20, I get 75 negative over 40. Okay, when you simplify that, divide that out, you get, I believe it's negative 1.875 feet. This is day. The correct interpretation of that is this is telling you that this is going down 1.875 feet. The lake is dropping at an average rate of 1.875 feet each day. Okay, and again, this is an average rate, maybe not exact. The population of Athens High School, okay, so we look at this and we say like, okay, 990 minus 795, and then let's go with 2012 minus 1991. Okay, when you do this, I believe you get 195 over 21. Simplify that, and you're getting approximately, somebody can double check it, 9.29, I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, students over 1 year. So again, what this is telling me is that Athens High School is adding approximately 9.29 students each and every year. This, obviously it's an average rate and probably wouldn't be exact. You can't add 0.29 of a student, but that's kind of what we're trying to interpret here. Okay, number 11, you have these 2 points. You should see that this is going down 100, and then it's going over 45. I'm going based off the numbers here. Okay? When you do that and simplify that, you get like negative 2.22, and this is treats over 1 day. So what that means is I'm using, or the dog is eating, or I'm giving away approximately 2 to 3, we'll say 2.22 to be exact, I guess, treats each and every day. Okay, obviously you're not going to give like maybe 0.2 of a treat, but you're giving 2 to 3 treats a day on average. Now, the X and Y intercepts. Here's 0, 100, and then 45, 0. Now you should remember that 0, comma, a number is the Y-intercept. Number, comma, 0 is the X-intercept, and that's something to add to the note card. So this is the Y, this is the X, and what do they mean? That means here at the beginning, 0 days, I have 100 treats left. At 45 days, I have 0 treats left. So you should make sure you understand what those intercepts mean, because you will get questions on that. Alright, so now I want to decide if these are linear functions. Well, I've got 3, 3, and 2. I'm just subtracting 7, 7, 7. Okay, do these give you the same answers? 7 divided by 3, 7 divided by 3, 7 divided by 2. And the answer should be clearly no. Whereas here I've got 4, 2, 1, 8, 4, and 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So the slope here is 2, which means yes, it is a linear function. And that's that for that one. Okay, On 15, you're supposed to be finding the slope and the y-intercept. There was a lot of debate as to what was a good slope for this this morning, especially 15 because the line was a little bit off. But let's say I went with this point right here. Okay, obviously that's my y-intercept. I'm going to put here slope, a y, or let's put y-intercept, x-intercept. Okay, so the y-intercept there is obviously 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. And then depending on where you put your point, and I had some people mostly choosing here, then here, then here. That got a little bit off, but this was up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. So here the slope is 2 over 3. To make it a little bit better and more obvious to figure out which one that is on the test, I was trying to really make sure, so I zoomed in really well. So you shouldn't have this problem like we did here. And the x-intercept, you notice, is really kind of somewhere close to 8. So let's say 7.8, 0. So again, not the best line, but you know that's what we have right there. Okay, here this is a horizontal line, so the slope is 0. The y-intercept is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 0, 5, and the x-intercept is there are none. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. Again, if it was a vertical line, the slope would have been undefined. There would have been no y-intercept, and the x-intercept would have been whatever that line was crossing on a vertical line. All right, here you're supposed to be going. Well, let's look at this first before I do that. This right here, and again, this is very blurry, sorry about that, but you can look at it on your own paper. You have 0, 6, 2, 0. Again, 0, number is your y-intercept. A number, 0 is your x-intercept. So something to add, again, to the note card. Then, if you go ahead and try to, say, subtract, 3 minus 1 is 1. Or 3 minus 2, sorry. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus negative 1 is 1. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. So my slope is negative 3 over 1. Don't try to make it positive just because, well, that's the easier thing to do. Okay, on this one, let's follow the pattern. 9 minus 6 is 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. If I subtract 3 by 3, end up with 0. 0 minus 3 is still 3. Negative 3. And negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. So that could work. 12 minus 10 is 2. 10 minus 8 is 2. So continue the pattern, go by 2, and I end up with 6. So my y-intercept is 0, 6. You can also already tell that your slope is 2 over 3. So how do you get the x-intercept? Well, let's continue the pattern. Now it's going down this way. 6 minus 4 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So if I did the pattern here, subtract 3, I would end up with negative 9. So all you had to do is continue the pattern. Should not be something very hard, to be honest. Let's use these over at the next screen. So let's see. Okay, yeah. So I can see here on 19, I have a slope of 2. I have a y-intercept of 8, negative 8. So I'm going to put here 0, negative 8. Now, some of y'all got this idea of where I could show you how to find this through the graph. Algebraically, remember, the x-intercept, the y is 0. So you could say 0 is equal to 2x minus 8. And thus you would have, moved the 8 over to the other side, you'd have 8 equals 2x, so x equals 4. And that's your x-intercept, because that's when the y was 0. Don't know if that would be easier in a different format. Here, your slope is the negative 3/4. your y-intercept is 0, 6. So you notice here, just from the equation, you get everything you need for the slope and y-intercept. It's the x-intercept you would have to go out and find. Again, algebraically, I could say this was 0. Move the negative 3/4 x over here, so I'd have a positive, and I would have 3 divided by 4, x equals 6. And then I would multiply by 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and divide by 3 and get x is equal to 24 divided by 3 is 8. So I'd have 8, 0. Okay, here I need to solve for y. So I'm going to move this over to the other side. So I'd have 3y equals negative 4x plus 12. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Y is equal to negative 4/3 x plus 4. So my slope is negative 4/3. My y-intercept is 0, 4. And again, you should end up getting like 3, 0 for your x-intercept if you solved it algebraically. Okay, x equals a number. This is the one with a slope undefined. So this is something to add to your notes. X equals a number, the slope is undefined. There is no y-intercept, and the x-intercept is that number that the x is equal to. Y equals negative 5, that's 0, negative 5. I have no clue why I put that there. Actually, I meant the slope is 0, the y-intercept is 0, negative 5, and there's no x-intercept. So that's something maybe you can add to the note card about how y equals a number has certain characteristics and x equals a number has certain characteristics. The only other thing I can think of to add here is graphing, and you should make sure you know how to graph. Double check that worksheet. If not, I would go ahead and come to tutoring and ask questions before the test. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop there because I really don't want this to be too long. It is pretty long as it is. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you very much.